Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to another episode of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, where I hope to provide entertaining conversations with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to get their stories, tips, strategies, productivity tricks, and ideas that you can apply and take your career or business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. I've used Audible for many years now when I'm on the road, and I'm on the road a lot. Audible helps me pass the downtime while enjoying great books I discover or are recommended by friends. You can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast. There are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. I can recommend some if you need them. Hit that link and start your 30-day free trial with Audible today. This episode is with Peter Downing. Peter tells us about a nice family tradition that was his first experience in the outdoors and the cool thing he's doing with Suffer Better. Enjoy. Hey guys, today I'm speaking with Peter Downing. Peter has launched a couple of successful businesses, the most recent being Suffer Better. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Hey, Rick. Thank you. Really appreciate being on here. And, of course, as an old friend, I'd love getting a chance to stay in touch with you. Anyway.
Yeah. No, that's what I enjoy most about this is catching up with everybody in kind of a different format. And, I get to ask questions, put you guys on the hot seat. So
I can feel it already.
It's been pretty fun. So let's start with your first exposure to the outdoors. What was that as a kid, or did you come to outdoors later in life? What was that like?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about that because we've continued this tradition. My dad took me and my brothers on a fly fishing trip, and we were able to go when we reached that ripe old age of 12.
That's the magic number, isn't it?
Dude, it's totally true.
Yeah.
And we went off into the wilderness for a week with him and some of his buddies. And my brothers and I still do that with our sons.
Really?
We go to the same place where we've gone for 50 years.
Wow.
And we actually just got back and saw more bears than people, which was
that's a good thing.
That was a totally great thing.
Yeah. And
anyway,
where do you go?
We go to a place in the Flat Tops Wilderness area in western Colorado, totally remote.
Nice.
And spend a week hanging out and fly fishing and enjoying each other's company.
That's very cool.
Spectacular.
And how many brothers? Cool. How many brothers and kids are involved?
So this year there were 6 of us total on the trip. We horse pack in.
Nice.
So we can take wine.
So you can, you can take the necessary libations and good food.
Yes, 100%, brother. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So for 50 years, man, that's amazing.
Yeah. And it had been going, my dad got invited sort of later on, but, it's this really remote place nobody goes to. It's amazing. It's amazing that, go ahead.
I was going to say, what are the age range of the kids?
Well, now they're most young adults. So my son is now 22.
Oh, wow.
But I first took him when he actually got in a little early. I took him when he was 11.
Nice.
So he's been going, he's missed 1 year of those 11. And, my brother has a son who's 28. My older brother's son doesn't go anymore. He's a big dog in the tech world. It's not his cup of tea. Then my brother has a new son-in-law that, made the trip for the first time this year. So
very cool.
It was awesome. Totally awesome.
Yeah, that's fabulous. That's a great tradition. Yeah,
it's amazing.
And so you obviously still get outdoors and fly fish. What was your first outdoor related job?
Yeah, it was,
or did you have one?
I did. Totally did.
Yeah.
And it was, I still think of it as my best job ever. My buddy, John Windsor, who you probably know.
Yeah, I met John. When we were
John ran. Yeah, he ran sports and fitness publishing out of Boulder. He started a magazine called Gravity, which was a compilation of all the crazy things going on in what was then called the extreme or action sports world. And he hired me to organize a film festival for Gravity Magazine, which became the Gravity Sports Film Festival.
Oh, man, and what a great first job.
Wow. I got to go to all these crazy places and look for crazy people doing movies about crazy things.
Right.
So it was awesome. Short-lived, but whatever.
So was that one of the first adventure film type festivals of its kind? I mean, that was all the rage. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
I think there was a guy who had done one. Shoot, I forgot his name, but that focused more on sort of the street action sports, rollerblading and skateboarding, but we brought in climbing and base jumping and snowboarding and all those crazy things, and super fun.
Right. And how long did it run?
1 year. And it was because it's how I met all the guys that sort of got me to you. It's how I met Claflin and Eberly.
Yeah.
Because they were part of Fila Outdoor.
Right.
Which opened its fancy office in Boulder.
Right.
And they were trying to make inroads into the industry and were going to do trail running shoes, and they invested a ton of money and initially signed up to be a film festival sponsor for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then after a year, they kind of pulled out of the outdoor and lost our sponsorship, and Gravity died, and off we went. You know how those things go.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Man, there could be a number of episodes just on the crash and burns of the industry, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Yes, it is. But it got me into the universe, right? And then Dave and I.
So what? Sorry. What were you doing before that? What were you doing before that?
Oh, I'd started as a teacher back in Denver after a couple of years as a Peace Corps volunteer.
Okay.
In West Africa, but that's what got me into trail running. I had an English roommate in Peace Corps, and we used to every weekend, go run through the bush, as we used to say.
Yeah, that must have been interesting.
Holy shit! Can't even. I mean, the things you'd step on what you thought was a log, and it turned out to be a python, and those kinds of things.
Wow.
Right? But it was super fun, and that got me into that. And then I was an attorney, and it was actually Windsor that got me out of that, because he came to me with this idea of the film festival, and being one of your typical unhappy lawyers, I said, yes, please get me out of here.
Can I start tomorrow?
Yes.
What kind of law did you practice?
Mostly water law.
Water, okay. Water rights kind of thing?
Yep. That's gold here in Colorado.
Oh, man, you can make a fortune in California, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, but the life, it's also where I got into ultra running, was a lawyer. I mean, it was like running away from the law, right? I mean,
yeah.
If I could spend 2 hours running at lunchtime, that was 2 hours. Well, it wasn't billing, but I also wasn't sitting in my chair.
In the office cubicle. Yeah, exactly. Right.
So, all those things got me to the next step. You know how that goes.
Yeah. So then after Gravity crashed, then you connected with Eberly and Claflin, Dave Claflin. And does that one Spark started?
Yes.
Okay.
Dave and I started Spark.
Yeah.
And we were mostly a sort of a boutique marketing agency for mostly outdoor companies. And
right.
We worked with a whole bunch of fun groups like the North Face, Pearl Izumi, Moonstone, Dana Designs when you were there.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll probably remember.
Yeah.
And Nike ACG was actually our first big client.
Right.
And we were sort of the voice of ACG for 5-6 years, I think.
And that was the heyday of ACG, man. It was cool.
Man.
It was cool back then. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Great product,
course,
great attitude. Yeah, it was awesome.
everything. And
Yeah.
I think they're back.
Sort of, yeah. They're back in a
but-
new, young kind of way, but
Yep,
it's,
yep,
yeah.
right. And they're more of a lifestyle thing. Back then they were,
Right.
they were the hardcore trail running shoes before all these other guys showed up.
Yeah, and they made some other
So-
great products too. I mean, I loved all their stuff. Yeah, they just appealed to that adventure outdoor,
Yep.
Mid 30s to mid 40s kind of guy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually still use some of that stuff.
Yeah, I wish I had some of those shoes.
So I have friends that still do. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
right?
that's awesome.
But that got us into the universe, and we sort of did a bunch of different things with those kinds of companies. Dave then moved to Kansas City,
Mm-hmm.
where he does his own thing, and I've sort of kept Spark alive and have done both marketing and PR for outdoor companies, and
Right.
have stayed in the industry, and then that sort of led my friend Bob and I to Suffer Better.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you still operate Spark, correct? That's
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Suffer Better, it was kind of a partnership formed just to focus on running and the suffering we all do when we exercise.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of it started as a company that really it was Bob Africa is his name.
Okay, yeah.
Bob and I both, longtime ultra runners, training partners. But he was at a race one day and had this, amazing, strong finish. And somebody said to him at the end of it, whoa, how do you do that? Bob's reaction and comment was, I suffer better. And that
Interesting.
That whole notion really resonated. And so he called me and said, Pete, we should do something with this. So 3 years ago, we formed a company called Suffer Better based on that whole notion of sort of giving your all.
Uh-huh.
But we decided we were stupid lucky just to be able to do that. So the other piece of it became you give your all and you give back. So
nice. Yeah.
So we donate, we sell hats, tees, socks, cycling apparel, running stuff, and we donate 10% of everything we make back to a variety of different charities.
Oh,
so
cool.
That's kind of that's the premise of and we focus on not just trail runners, but the sort of endurance community. So we work with Race Across America, for example, in the Endurance Cycling Committee and that kind of stuff. So
it's not traditional bat ball type sports. It's more endurance. Do you do any water related endurance stuff, swims and?
No. I mean, we're open. Our community is anybody in the endurance community.
Gotcha.
It's just we don't sell much stuff. But we provide our goal is to provide them with tips and tools to be better at what we do. So we partner with nutritionists, coaches, people like that to help the endurance community, be better at what they do and to make the most of it.
That's awesome. Well, we'll definitely put a link to all that in the show notes. That's and that's been going on for 6 years now.
No, only 3.
Oh, okay.
We just this year got Suffer Better trademarked.
Nice.
So that's been a long deal. But now, we get requests all the time from people can we put you on our, whatevers? And it's like, well, not so much.
Yeah, right.
But we're putting on our first race coming up in September.
Very cool.
A 10K trail run out here in Colorado.
Nice.
And that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's great.
And, we've got big ideas. We've just formed a nonprofit arm of Suffer Better. And we've got a couple of programs we're launching, one of which is a grant program so that people can apply to us to get money to go do something that embodies the principles of Suffer Better, which are giving your all and giving back.
Right.
So
very cool.
They have to have a nonprofit piece of philanthropy piece of it, and they have to go do something that sort of epitomizes that whole notion of giving your all for something else.
Right.
So that's kind of fun.
Do you guys go around to local events and set up a...
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. As often as we can. We're not loaded, but, and the other thing we really look to do is to partner with existing companies. So like Race Across America, we do a joint project with them where we create hats and tees that we co-brand.
Oh, cool.
And then we sell those, they sell them, and we donate back to a group called Bicycles for Humanity.
Oh, cool.
Which gives bikes to people overseas. We partner with Scratch Labs. We sell their stuff, and then we donate a portion of what we make selling their products to a charity that they pick.
Awesome.
So we try to do those things that make sense, where we partner with, community organizers and things like that to, support and build local communities. It's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That's a great organization. There's a lot of giving and taking on both sides. I like that collaboration. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that way it sort of helps us all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'd like to think so anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So you've been in the outdoor biz for a while now. And kind of as a you have had the fortunate seat to see a lot of different brands and a lot of different perspectives and the shifting of the business. How do you think it's evolved over the years?
I think about that a lot, and especially after just being at OR.
Right.
By the way, I'm super psyched to have OR come to Denver.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. And I'll straight up tell you now, if you need a place to stay, I got a house. I got a room.
Awesome.
And you're welcome.
Thank you. Awesome. I may take you up on that.
It's there for the taking.
Thanks.
And, but the consolidation is one thing. Okay. You and I met when we were, you were working for Eagle Creek, and Dave and I were doing some work with Eagle Creek. And so now I see this, these big enterprises that own multiple companies.
Right.
So that's a change that I see. And I think, like, a lot of the companies that I used to work with were sort of bought up by some of those, and now they're gone.
Yeah, some of them. Yeah.
Like Moonstone, like Dana Design.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that's also helped companies, because it's given them, some of those founders, needed cash infusions to do things. So I love seeing that. But I also, one of the things that struck me at OR this time was they have that new, I think they call it Venture Out, which is lots of new companies. And I see so much cool stuff coming out of that, new products, new ideas, young people trying new things. And I think that's super exciting. So that seeing that there's this, upswell of new ideas and new products and new people coming into the industry.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that a lot.
Yeah, it's awesome. I worked when I was with the Mountain Lab. I had an opportunity to do a couple of shows working on the Venture Out program and meeting the guys. Wiley Robinson from Rumpel was on the show a couple weeks ago, and there's just some really cool, unique perspectives on the outdoor industry and the product.
Yes,
it's refreshing to see that.
I totally agree. And I was listening to your podcast the other day of the guy from the Mudroom.
Oh yeah, David. Yeah.
And I think seeing people coming into the industry with new takes on some of these things. So seeing the new packs and I also think it's broadened. You never used to think of blue jeans as that, but now there's these new companies that are coming up with new spins on things like that are sort of changing the way we think about that.
Yeah, that's what I love. That. Yeah, that's probably the thing that I love the most is the definition of outdoors is no longer Everest, high mountain related. It's very, I mean, Rumpel makes blankets. So you can go to the movies and wear your Rumpel blanket. I mean,
bingo.
It's just, anything outside. Jansport's, shifted their thing to, their message to be more just outside of whether you're at a park or whatever. So it's very cool. I like that. Yeah.
And I totally love that. And I think the other thing about that is that it brings new people into this bigger definition of the industry.
Right.
And so, which is something, for the last 25 years we've been hearing and I just read something about it the other day. We need a more diverse group coming in, which is 100% true.
Yeah.
And we just need more young people getting into it. And it doesn't have to be that you go spend 3 days isolated in the wilderness, right? To be an outdoor person, right? So I love that. And I think that's changing too. I'm definitely, those of us, we're the old guys anymore.
Exactly.
And I love seeing all these young faces at the show, men and women, and, the more diversity, people of color, all of that.
Right.
It's exciting.
I totally agree.
And it's hopeful.
Yeah,
right?
and I think it's energizing. I mean, this show I think we got the same little bump of energy when we left Reno for Salt Lake that I felt at this recent show. Everybody's it's sad to leave Salt Lake. Salt Lake has been great to everybody, and we're very super thankful for that opportunity. But now that going to Denver, there's just a little spark in everybody's step, which is kind of cool. I
totally agree.
Yeah,
yeah, and you see things like these states that have, like Colorado, Utah, Washington, that have like outdoor industry people within the state government that are helping to sort of build the industry. So I think that's super exciting.
Yeah,
and
that's amazing.
I think it's going to continue to go in the right direction. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the future? Where do you think it's gonna continue down this path? Do you see anything new come along? Get your crystal ball out and
well, if my crystal ball was really working, I'd be buying lottery tickets, because I think it's only 600 million for the drawing tonight, right?
That's right.
So
I saw that.
If my crystal ball was worth a darn, I'd be out doing that.
Yeah.
But I'm incredibly optimistic, I have to say, about all of the things. I think new products, new people, bigger industry. I think there's a bigger role for new, smaller companies in the industry. Yep. I think that's super exciting. And of course, if they're any good, they'll get snatched up by the big guys. But
or make it on their own. I mean, that's another. Right. You look at the Osprey guys. I mean, they've managed to keep holding their own, right?
And doing super well.
Oh yeah.
And I also love the sort of like joining of the ski show and the OR show, right? Because they're really part and parcel of the same thing.
And we started there back in the day.
Right. So having them coming back together and being a more powerful sort of force in the outdoors. And I love that, Congress is paying attention.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. I was talking to Amy Roberts a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying that, for years they'd go there and kind of get ignored because they were looked at as those tree hugger liberal types. But now they show up and start swinging around this $800 billion number of impact on the economy. And all of a sudden they're listening. So,
yeah.
And that's only going to grow. I mean, I think that's right. That's probably light as it is, because I'll bet there's things that in that number that they didn't count that they will count next time, right?
Of course, sure.
Yeah.
And I also think the voice, the one thing I hope we see is this stronger, sort of more unified voice about some of this stuff, so that things like public lands and the issues surrounding these national monuments and change this to that, so that I hope, and like we were talking about before, is that, hopefully we'll all step up and become sort of a unified voice that, uses that big stick to say some things and make a difference.
Yeah. And it seems we've found our collective voice. So we're doing a better job than we've ever done before in, rallying the troops and getting the cohesive, one message across. And awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the march at Salt Lake was
fabulous.
Sort
was
of
fun.
Indicative of that. I thought that was pretty impressive, actually.
That was great.
I hope we do more of that.
Yep. I think more's coming. Yeah. So what opportunities do you see for young folks wanting to get in the outdoor business? Any suggestions for, where they should start, how they should start?
I think I love this about this industry now. I think there's so many ways to get involved.
Yeah.
first is to me is, I mean, you got to know somebody. And I still think it's true that if you know somebody, you should utilize that.
Right. Right.
I think those things make a huge difference. I also think people are more open to, just showing up,
Yeah. Yeah.
going to somebody and saying, look, I'm interested in this. I want to do this. And I think, on the other side, companies and people are more receptive to that. And just sort of grab the bull by the horns and jump in. But there are places. So like my daughter, for example, she's 25. She's a trail runner. She's gotten into web development.
Oh,
and, she went to a, grade school and came out with a neuroscience degree, but wasn't excited about those jobs. And so she's gone back and she's into web coding school. And I think of things like that. Every industry needs that. And
a lot of that, and more of that moving forward. It's only going to get more important. Yeah.
And so I think if the industry is interesting to you, there's a lot of ways to get involved. And it doesn't mean you have to be this crazy, outdoor focused person.
Right.
You have to, there's a lot of ways to work in the industry, in sort of those non-traditional ways too.
Right.
So
they're more traditional. They're more traditional to business, but non-traditional to outdoor.
Right.
Yeah. So
correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think those opportunities exist, and I also think you go and you put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I think people are more able to do that now than they used to be.
Yeah.
And so I think the opportunities are there. It's just putting yourself out there and letting the world know that is interesting to you and that you have something to offer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. Yep.
So,
let's shift gears again. What was your last adventure? Well, your last adventure was your fishing trip with the family, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about before that?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Usually, I will, it used to be things like, I was just looking at some pictures of somebody who had, run what we call the 4-pass loop. And that's one of the things I want to get back so that I can do that again. And that's, there's a loop, a trail that circumvents the Maroon Bells up in Aspen.
Yep.
It's, and you go over 4 12,000 foot passes as you do this. It's about 28 miles. And my goal is to get, healthy enough so that I can do that one again. Because
awesome.
I saw those pictures, and so I still get out there. I stepped over a rattler the other day on Sunday on my little trail run.
That'll wake you up.
Oh yes, it did. Suddenly, a little spike in the heart rate.
Yeah.
And we've lately I've been just focused on getting this race together that we've got, so that people who show can have a good one. But my wife and I just had our 30th wedding anniversary.
Oh, congratulations. Very good.
That was pretty awesome. So we went and took a nice hike up in the Indian Peaks Wilderness area above Boulder, and ran into a mommy moose and her calf.
Oh, cool.
So, every time outside is a good one, man.
That's right. Can't get outside enough. Exactly. Yeah.
No, that's 100%.
How about some favorite books, or do you give books as gifts?
I'm sort of devouring my new favorite, which is The Emerald Mile.
Okay.
You've read that. Do you know that book?
Haven't read that.
It's the crazy story of the 3 boatmen who back in the 80s set the record for the fastest trip through the entire length of the Grand Canyon.
Wow. I think I remember hearing about that back in the day, but yeah.
Just insane.
Wow.
But I love the book because it gives this phenomenal backstory of the Grand Canyon and the development of the dam, and sort of the birth of the Sierra Club in the process.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing story, and I've learned so much from it that sort of shocks me. Because years ago, Bob and I ran the canyon, the rim to rim thing. So of course we went over the river, but I had no idea all that was sort of part of the development of that whole thing.
It's amazing. That whole watering of the West. I mean, there's a bunch of books on it, but just, it's crazy.
Yeah, it sort of stuns me. And now every time I see a dam, I think about it. It's like, oh, of course, that's where this came from. But the book is phenomenal, and a great story of just some amazing people that accomplished some, incredible things back then.
Cool. Well, we'll put a link to that in the show notes, and
totally fun.
Yeah, awesome. And how about your best? Before we move on, any other good books that you want to list?
The Hard Way. I don't know if you know. Mark Jenkins, who's
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he's written that's sort of a nice series of essays. That one's always great. They're all good.
Yeah, there's so many good books. Yeah.
And
do you read them mostly, or are you an Audible guy?
I read. Yeah. I love to read.
Yeah,
I love the idea of sitting somewhere with a pages I can turn.
Yeah.
And iPads and Kindles are lovely, and listening is great. But I like when I run, I don't listen to anything. I like being out there.
Same. I like hearing the wind or whatever. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And I'm also afraid I won't hear that snake rattle.
Right.
If I'm listening, and I don't want to miss that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I'm the same. Yeah. I do. I read a lot of books, and then I find that when I'm traveling, I use Audible a lot just because it's, so easy to be on the move, or, the mindless time in the airports. It's great to get buried in a book.
So give me a good one. What's one that you just read that I want to read?
I'm reading one. I just read a book called Titan by Roosevelt. Rockefeller. It was about Rockefeller. And it's just a huge, thick book about all the things that he did, building Standard Oil, and then how he was, vilified for a lot of stuff. But then later in life, he gave so much money away and built so many great, hospitals and things that are still around today. It's a huge book, but it's a great book.
Yeah.
And the one I'm reading right now is by this guy, Cal Fussman, who's a great interviewer. And that's why I'm reading it, because I want to get better at my interviewing skills. But it's about Jackie Robinson, but it's about all the guys except Jackie Robinson. So all the guys that he played with, or that came up after him, or that saw all the stuff that he had to go through and he didn't react to. And so it's kind of an interesting perspective on what was going on at that time in baseball.
Yeah, very cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Have you read Boys in the Boat?
That's a great book. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I totally ate that one up. Yeah. That one was lovely.
That was a quick one. There's so many great books out there. It's, you can't go wrong.
No, you're right. You can't. And you'll never read them all.
That's right. That's right. Because they keep writing them.
Yes. Thank heaven for that.
Yeah. Right? So what's your best outdoor gear purchase under $100?
Under $100.
Yeah.
I just got a new headlamp.
Okay.
Which, so my brother and I have been experimenting with this idea of fishing at night, which is stupid in so many ways. I'll just tell you that.
Give us one way why it's stupid.
Well, because you can't see shit, and so it's so interesting because we've gone down to the South Platte. It's not far from Denver, and there's some pretty great fishing down on the Platte. But so we've done this a couple of times. So we go down and we fish in the twilight, and we're mostly fishing with woolly boogers, and so we're streamer fishing.
Yeah.
And but then it gets pitch black, and so you take your light, and I needed a good enough light so that I could at least figure out where the heck I was, because I'm standing in the middle of the river, and it's like, okay,
you're still waiting in the dark.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Which is where the stupid part comes in. But so you turn your light on briefly so you can sort of see where to fling this woolly, and you toss it down. Then you turn your light off, and so you're sitting there, and there's no light pollution.
Yeah.
So you wing this thing out there, and I have to admit that I miss 90% of the strikes. And with the woolly booger, they hit hard.
It's hard to miss. Yeah.
Right. But I'm so anxious sitting there in the pitch black, thinking, did I catch a lion?
Yeah.
Did I what? And so
the mind tricks begin in the dark.
It's just hilarious. But it's
that's
so
got to be
fun.
hard spatially too, because if you're, just sitting in the dark, you can kind of get, a little spatially challenged. But if you're trying to deal with moving water and not falling down and filling your waders and holy
and a
cow.
fish, and if you actually get a fish on the hook,
have you ever caught a fish?
Oh yeah.
Have you landed them?
But not many. Oh yeah.
Okay.
But it's incredibly it's 10 times as difficult.
I can imagine. Yeah.
It is, because you can't see the fish down there. You can't follow your line.
Right.
You can hear a splash. So you think, you don't know where you're moving. The whole thing is just this incredible sort of just,
wow. So what new headlamp did you get, and did it work?
It worked great.
Okay.
I got a Petzl Tikka. They're like $40.
Nice.
It's got 3 different, intensities so that you can, really get it to the right. It's even got the red light so that you can sort of see without being
blinded,
distracting. Yeah. And it's, I don't know if the fish see it. I don't really care, because it helps me not drown.
Right.
So it's all good.
I like it.
It's been awesome.
Awesome. Well, we'll link to one of those in the show notes. Yeah, go ahead.
The other thing I want all your, and you as a fisherman will appreciate these too. Mountain Khakis makes these belts. They're not, you can't use them for anything but looking good, but they make 3 belts in patterns of a brook trout, a brown trout, and a rainbow trout.
Yep.
And so they're only like $25. I have all 3 of them.
I think I have the brown trout one. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta have those.
Yep. They're very cool. Yep. I agree.
That's it.
Awesome. That's good. I like
whatever.
That. That's a great story. I think that's the best story we've had on so far about a piece of gear under $100.
Well, it was a total experiment that we've tried a couple times, and it's just hilarious, honestly.
I can imagine.
It's just hilarious. So someday we're going to dial it in.
Yep. Oh, you'll perfect it. Yep.
Now that I got the headlamp to do it.
Exactly. So, you'll get it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny.
So how about some of your other favorite digital tools or apps or podcasts to keep your sanity or stay motivated?
I love things like, since I don't listen to stuff when I run or do anything like that, I have a Suunto watch that I love, because when I go for a longer run, I love the fact that when I put it back in, plug it back into the computer, I get this map.
Oh, cool.
Of where I was.
Nice.
And I think Garmin and the others do this as well. But the thing that I love and hate about it is that it shows me where I was running hard and where I was totally dogging it, because it'll show up on the map as red if I'm clearly working hard, yellow if I'm there, and then there's this little like green bit that says, "Yo, dude, were you walking?"
Slacking.
Yeah, huh? So it's like you get this really visual reminder of, nice. I should have been pushing it, because it goes by your heart rate and all of those kinds of things. So it actually shows you that. So it's a really good tool for, keeping track of.
Yeah, very cool.
How hard you're doing
how
things.
Far you didn't run. Damn, I thought I ran further.
100%. And I totally, we've launched a Strava group for Suffer Better, so that, people in the community can go in and, record their stuff. And we do, each month we give the person who, did the best, whether that's the most miles, fastest mile or whatever, we give them a freebie, a goodie,
cool.
a Suffer Better hat or t-shirt or things like that. So I've kind of enjoyed that, because, people are competitive. And so it's an interesting way for people to compare themselves to one another. So
Cool.
I think that stuff's pretty fun, actually.
That's awesome.
I think people dig it. It's all that community. People feel like they're part of something that way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, we're scoreboard livers, right? Whatever it is, we got to have a scoreboard to know how we did.
Bingo.
So,
Bingo. Yeah, I think, and so it's a fun way to do that.
Yeah, cool.
When so that's good stuff. All of that.
Well, any final thoughts for our listeners? Anything you want to ask of them or say to them?
No, I just I appreciate it. Check us out at sufferbetter.com.
Yeah, we'll link to that.
That's super fun. And I just keep getting out there, because that's what makes it all work. Is the more of us that get out there. I lament sometimes when I go to the trails how crowded they are.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I think, well, thank God you're all out here, because at least people care.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so it's a double-edged sword, all of that.
Yeah. No,
but I think I'll take it.
Yep, I'll take it too. Yep. And where can people find you? At Suffer Better, obviously. Do you have a LinkedIn or?
Yeah. So, yep. We're all on there.
Okay.
Sufferbetter.com. We've got both Facebook and Instagram and Twitter.
Cool.
All of those pieces.
Yeah.
And then Spark, if anybody needs any, fun marketing stuff, we're at sparksideas.com.
Cool. All right.
And,
yeah, we'll put links to all that in the show notes.
Sweet. That's awesome. And I thank you. And most of all, it's good to talk to you.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate that.
Good to see you at OR, and thanks for the time. And I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll see you before Denver, but for sure, I'll see you in Denver.
Come out next month and run a race with us. What the hell?
You know what? People have heard me say this before. If both my feet leave the ground, something went seriously wrong.
That usually means I've fallen.
Yeah, that's right. My knees are, a lot of things I don't do anymore.
First of all, thank you. Totally appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and, get the word out about it.
Yeah, thank you, man. It's been fun. We'll touch base shortly. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Peter Downing. You can reach out to Peter on sufferbetter.com and at sparksideas.com, as well as all the usual socials. You'll find links to all the info we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episodes/032. I appreciate the support and feedback. Please be sure and share your favorite episodes on the socials. And until next time, thank you so much for listening. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher, or go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com, where you find all the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at The Outdoor Biz Podcast, Twitter at Rick_Saez, that's Saez, and my email is rick@theoutdoorbizpodcast.com. Thanks for listening and all the support, and a huge shout out to all my guests, and until next time, be sure to make time to get outside.